Marriage should not women should not leave their marriage just because they're unhappy. Go ahead.
I strongly disagree.
Okay, why do you
I
disagree?
feel that woman should leave a man if she's unhappy because she could always remarry.
Okay. I mean, yes, of course she can remarry. But what I'm
Right.
arguing is that a lot of women leave their... Okay. So women will destroy their marriage for their happiness, but men will
Right.
destroy their happiness for their marriage. Like, women overwhelmingly initiate divorces in America. And I think that's a problem, especially when you have kids. If you don't got kids, I'll give you a pass. But a lot of times they have kids, and that fucks up everything for the child.
Well, that's true. I'll give you that. It does mess up the development as far as the children, but they do not have to be raised by both parents at the same time. So I could.
I
Definitely
disagree.
take
I
that.
think both parents is the best way.
That would be the ideal picture, but what if it doesn't work? So a woman could still raise children on her own.
But it'll be suboptimal. So she's sacrificing her child's development for her happiness, which ends up happening most of the time. My argument is
Right.
you should bear it out, not be happy. At least get your kid to college, bare minimum.
I feel that they should not thug it out because you're gonna waste your youth on that marriage, on that man that is not deserving. When you could just go out there and reach your goals of what you want to be. What's the definition of true happiness? Than being with an image that is in a delusion world.
Well, thank you for proving once again that women provide little value outside of their sexuality, because you literally cited your youth as one of the main reasons why you need to get out of there, which proves my point that a woman's sexual market value is perishable. But, yeah, I think preserving your youth shouldn't override the development of your children.
That is correct. This is why I disagree with you, and this is why I feel that a woman, if she's
So you
not
think
happy,
your happiness overrides the development of the kids?
unfortunately, yes.
Ooh. All right. I think that's a big problem why we have the issues that we have in society nowadays.
You know, because if you're not happy with yourself, then you're not going to make your surroundings happy. That's my definition. Why be in a miserable relationship of 40 years long just to keep the children happy together and be raised
Well, I'm
with
saying,
an image that is
I'm
not
giving
reality?
you a pass. I'm saying at least let the kids get to college. Let them become an adult. I'm giving you a pass. I'm not even telling you the 40 years. I'm saying, like, at least let the kid get to college and
Right.
become an adult.
That's true. That would be a torture. I mean, I wouldn't do that. My mom did. I mean, she's still married to this day, but she believes in marriage, and I feel that happiness should come first. Sometimes, you know, people, you know, that are married for a long term with a certain amount of children, they tell their children they're not happy. I should have left your father, or X, Y reasons. And I feel that for those factors, it's unhealthy to stay in a relationship just to raise your children. I feel that happiness should go first.
I disagree. I think the kids' happiness and their healthiness overrides your happiness. Therefore, I think if you decide to get married and have kids, you should grind it out with that man and have the kid. But that's fine. Does someone else, do you guys... Oh.
Anybody else?
Everybody vote her out? Okay.
Okay.
Who's up next?
No, it was her.
Oh, yeah?
You disagreed, right? Okay, it was her, and then it's Coco.
All right. Women should not...
Oh my gosh.
Basically, yeah. Women should never leave their marriage for their happiness.
Women should never leave their marriage for their happiness.
Women should never leave their
Okay,
marriage.
I disagree.
Okay, go ahead. Why do you disagree?
Well, when you get in that marriage, the whole point of a marriage is a bond between each other. As that time progresses, certain factors ruin that marriage.
Okay.
And your closeness, your comfortability with one another, who you are. And sometimes people just grow apart. Sometimes people just can't stay with one another for a long time. Sometimes they can't stand each other as time progresses. So, and that means both of you guys aren't happy. Okay. And sometimes the woman chooses to leave that relationship, and sometimes the man chooses to leave that relationship. Most likely, it may be the woman.
It's
But
always the woman.
It's
almost
not
always.
always the woman.
80%
Some men are just not happy with their wives.
80% of the time.
Some men have more options.
It's 80% of the time women leave the marriage and initiate the divorce. 80% of the time.
Oh, okay. I understand what you mean by that. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, in order to be able, for both parties, not all the time men are the ones that women are the ones that are dissatisfied in a relationship. Sometimes men are the ones that are dissatisfied in a relationship, and they're the ones who initiate that. Like, for example,
Rarely.
can I give you an example? I've known.
You can give the example, but understand that the example you're going to give is a minority. The
It's
majority.
not a minority. Like, for example, my parents, they met each other in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
They linked up in Miami.
Yep.
They fell in love in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
They had me
Mm-hmm.
and another twin. May he rest in peace. But at the end of the day, at the end of the day, they're not together. Why did she have to leave? For her happiness?
So your mom initiated it.
She had to.
So that proves my point.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't prove your point. Some things are in dire need. She had to leave that relationship. If she didn't, she could possibly die, because it was a abusive. Think about abusive relationships. Abusive relationships. Certain females have to leave. Have you ever seen? Have you ever seen so many movies where the woman has to leave the fucking relationship? If she doesn't leave the relationship, the man is gonna beat her to death.
Yeah,
He's
the
gonna kill
reality
her
is
to death.
like when women say I'm in an abusive relationship, a lot of the times we've basically taken this term abusive and used it for anything.
No, but
So,
are you supposed to endure abuse?
it's not about
Whether it's
well,
verbally, physically, emotionally, are you supposed to endure abuse?
But see, here's the problem. Like, we just call everything abuse. So like if a husband tells his wife, make me a sandwich, that can be construed as abuse nowadays. If a man puts standards on a woman, that can be considered abuse nowadays.
So-
Anything can be interpreted as abuse.
Okay, so you
And it gives women like the
you-
ability to kind of just like not take accountability
So
for
can we
criticism.
use something? You used to be in law enforcement, right?
Yeah.
When you go to domestic disputes,
Yep.
and the woman is basically saying, "Hey, my husband is beating on me." Is she alleging that she's going through abuse, or is she physically? She could have all the outside physical appearance of showing that she's been beat up and been manipulated.
So
But at
number
the end of
one,
the
when it
day-
comes to domestic violence, if there's one aggressor that beats on the other, most of the time, interesting fact, it's the woman beating on the man. It's not the man
it's
beating
the
on
woman beating on the man,
When there's
or
one
it's the
aggressor.
man beating on the woman.
Okay. Pay attention, please. When it comes to men, when it comes to domestic violence, when there's one aggressor, most of the time, it's woman beating on man. However, that is not the norm. The norm is they both beat each other up. Most of the domestic violence situations end up where they both attack each other. But when it's one way, it's from woman to attack a man. So
Not necessarily.
that's what it is.
Especially think about all these situations.
That's
like, for example, you work out very much. You're very fit. That's the whole point of the podcast, Fresh and Fit. You're a fit man, and you may go after petite. You go after petite women, right? You over. I didn't ask for your opinion, but you might go after well put together women, right? So if you go after well put together women, you power over her. Even men in the gym, they're strong, they're built, they dress nice, they're strong, but they go
What
after
does
a
this have to
petite
do
fe-
with- what does that have to do with physical?
But you're saying it has to do with physical appearance. Some men trump over their size of women. Some big men want smaller women. Some they don't want another big woman right
What
by
does
their
this have
side.
to do with domestic violence and abuse?
It has
That's
to,
what we're talking
because
about.
in domestic violence, big men can beat over small women. That's just the fact of the matter is.
But-
my mom was a
Sure,
petite woman.
but just because they can
and
doesn't mean they do.
It's very much that's how the situation is. The woman
I
can't fight
literally
in that
just told you.
situation.
I
No man
literally
is
just
gonna
told
sit
you.
here and try to fight no female who is as masculine as her, or he's not gonna choose. Statistically shown, because you like statistics, men go after females who are more feminine, more smaller than them. They don't go after the females who are BBW and big, who can fight them off, no, they go after females who they can fight continuously.
Again, remember, you made the how did we start here? Like, we started with abuse. I'm telling you that the excuse of abuse, women use that all the time to justify ending relationships, ending marriages. But what I'm saying is a lot of times this abuse is valid criticism. It's valid disagreements. It's her maybe not adhering to what she's supposed to do. And women all the time use abuse for valid criticism. I've seen women call it emotional abuse for her husband critiquing her or telling her, hey, do this instead. So women use it as a failsafe because they know that they're always going to get the benefit of the doubt, and they're always going to get the benefit. And this has kind of created this environment where we believe all women. How many women say, "Oh, he abused me. He abused me," and it's a lie.
In the abuse
Because
sense
abuse is a nebulous term.
No, but I'm saying in the abuse sense of it, do you only feel like abuse is only subject to physical? Because in my opinion, verbal, emotional abuse, you can be called stupid, you could be dumb every single day, and the woman can decrease in self-esteem.
Well, here's the problem. See, it's subjective. Which
do you
means,
call women ugly? Do you call them stupid? Do you call them dumb? Is that how you talk to women to be able to move
let's go
forward
ahead and
in
go
a
with your
relationship?
scenario. You got to understand that abuse can be interpreted as it's subjective. If I tell one woman you're stupid, she might say, "I need to go read a book. I am stupid," and take it as constructive criticism. Another woman will say, "That's abuse," even though I am a fucking. So the problem with abuse, this nebulous term that women like to throw around when they're in a relationship with a guy, is they can weaponize it, right, off of valid critiques or valid conversation, because women, unfortunately, don't like to take accountability because the state does it for them. Oh, he abuses you? Sure, let's go ahead. And here's the other reason, too. This is the darker side. Women get rewarded for ending relationships. Women get rewarded for divorcing men. They get all this financial situation where they can go ahead and get half the money, alimony, child support. So there's an incentive for women to say, "I am abused." So, and the problem with abuse is it's a subjective term and it's nebulous. No one really knows the definition of abuse nowadays. So, though there are situations where it's valid, I would argue a lot of the times it's used as a placeholder term to justify divorcing, ending relationships. And it's because of their happiness. But the reality is they have a bunch of incentives to leave.
But truthfully, if anything, what about think about celebrities. Think about celebrities who are based off, celebrities who make money, music artists, who get with lesser men who don't make as much as money as them. But at the end of the day, is she the one who initiates the divorce, or is it the man who initiates the divorce?
She initiates divorce.
Because is he staying around for the money? Or is he really not happy in the situation?
That proves my point. Women initiate the divorce, even in that situation.
No, they don't initiate the divorce. You really think she's going to break up with a man? Or you think majority of celebrity relationships, she leaves the man? Or
she leaves.
The lesser partner is the one who
It's incredible to me how you bring up points that actually hurt your argument.
No, it doesn't hurt my argument. I try to bring up valid examples and valid points to actually help my argument. I actually studied speech and debate.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. That's what I'm telling you.
Argument.
I even gave you, but anytime I'm actually trying to present and trying to give an example or actually trying to bring a real life situation, you always try to subject it to make it lean over lesser to more of a man standpoint, or men need this or men need that. At the same time, men are strong, but at the end of the day, if men don't have that nourishment of women in their life, what are they? Because you're completely
going off the thing. I said women shouldn't initiate divorce for their happiness.
I know in my opinion, you said women shouldn't initiate divorce for their happiness
because of their happiness.
They're the majority who usually do it. But at the end of the day, men can choose to not be interested in a woman and want to leave the situation too.
But men never do that. That's my point.
So
they
what's
rarely
the
do
point
that.
of the whole show, Cheaters?
You're using a television.
That's a television show, but that's a real life television show of women finding their men cheating on their men and chasing after them and continue.
They voted her out. Okay,
that's fine.